welcome back to the Iron Mountain Hour. Hopefully you're still with us. We're live again. It's 10:21. We did about 15 minutes and then we got kicked off of YouTube. I don't know what the deal with YouTube is and why they don't want us to talk about this stuff unless all the conspiracy theories are true. Maybe they are.
Or Carter County has shit.
I mean, dude, I got 250 download and like 25 megabit upload, so that should be sufficient. And it always has been. I don't know. I mean, I pay them a lot of money to have faster internet speeds. I might even have 300 megabit. I can't remember now. Yeah, I don't think they even offer it any faster. But they, I think Elizabeth and Electric was talking about offering fiber, and they asked if we'd be interested in that.
Wi-Fi?
What's that? Everything's running off Wi-Fi.
I think it would help it if we landlined the computer.
It might, but.
I'm not claiming to be.
But I mean, if we were having the problem with the connection on our end, yeah, that would definitely help. But I don't know that would help since, I mean, everything going from the router to YouTube is the problem. I mean, our signal's coming out strong, even using Wi-Fi, and I mean we're right underneath the Wi-Fi router here.
Thanks. I'll use that info for when I inevitably rob the place. I know where he keeps all of his cheese and crackers, baby.
Yes.
And tuna.
I got lots of tuna.
And tuna.
Lots of rice and beans.
What's the expiration date on that stuff?
Rotate it out. So, when I buy, new canned food, I bring it down here and then bring the stuff that I eat upstairs. And then rice and beans, I mean, yeah, it expires, but ultimately if you had to eat it, you could freaking eat it. You could boil it to cook it. So I think you'd be all right. I mean, it probably wouldn't be very good if you ate it like 10 years down the road and dried a bag of rice. As long as it wasn't moldy, I think it'd be all right.
Yeah. As long as your rice isn't moldy, you think it'd be all right?
Yeah. Hey, I'd like to thank you for joining us. Like, share, subscribe to the video. We did all this.
5 dim people came back. Appreciate you guys. Sorry,
Yeah, thank you.
Sometimes the YouTube just kicks us off. All of our cell phones, it says the Wi-Fi is kicking chicken, and sometimes it just goes, you're not getting to stream tonight. So sorry for when it does that. If it's buffering, I swear to God, it's not our fault. He's running everything as fast as he can get it. So you know.
And we already did all this, but like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit the notification bell.
It's in this cactus porn, and let the G know.
And make sure you join us on Sunday and Wednesday at 10. And thank you, Tammy's Dildos, for sponsoring the stream. We really appreciate that little kickback she gives us for mentioning her. All the finest glass and all the finest sex toys for all your modern sex enthusiasts.
Enthusiasts only.
Yes, that's right. This is not just for casual sex havers or masturbators. This is for
dirty words.
This is for
for the serious,
the connoisseur of sex toys.
For someone who doesn't look at it with scorn.
That's right. So thanks, Tammy, for sponsoring us. I'm just kidding. I don't know Tammy, but Tim likes to call her out. So if she's watching,
I have no idea what he's talking about.
I hope she would.
Tammy, you should sue. It's defamation.
Hey, I never said her last name. No, I never did. Tim said her last name.
Love you, Tammy.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining us, Tammy. I hope
Give
you're
me
out
some
there.
samples of them things when you're
That's
done.
right. We'll put them on the table.
I was gonna take them home.
Hanging on the wall.
God, what was that guy talking about with the paradise with the troll stuff, man? I want to talk about that next week for sure.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued.
well, oh shit, that's not right. I'm gonna have to learn more about it to have a conversation on it. But a week's enough time for us to research it, so we should be able to learn a little bit about that. I don't know if we'll do it next week or not, but I'd like to talk to my friend and see if he could join us too.
Gotcha.
To make the conversation much more lively.
We're about to talk about Oak Ridge.
Yep.
Is Oak Ridge? I don't know if we've talked about it or not, but I know I've brought it up to you and Golf. Mercury, Nevada. Have you heard of it?
No, but Mercury the element does come into play in Oak Ridge. But tell me about Mercury, Nevada.
Mercury, Nevada. Everybody's fascinated by Area 51, by its mystique. But if you drive anywhere like around Vegas, like between Vegas and like Death Valley and stuff, there's a town called Mercury, Nevada, and it's like a pass coming off the interstate. And it has it right there. They're not hiding that it's there. But they make it, I can't remember what the wording on the sign is, but they make it very clear that it's a private town, that if you don't live there, you'll be sent back, right? So it's a town that's private because I think the people that make stuff there also live there, but I'm not sure about that. Okay. Nowadays, like, you could take a private tour and see little sections of it and stuff because it's got a lot of mystique behind it. But I've just... that's a good segue into our secret city would be Oak Ridge.
Yep.
Because they made stuff for the A-bomb, right?
That's right. They made uranium-235 and 238 for the Manhattan Project. And actually, the whole Manhattan Project was centered in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And if you're from our area, you're undoubtedly familiar with the Eastman Chemical Company, and that is who actually ran the plant there in Oak Ridge. Yeah.
So Polaroid would be loosely connected to the A-bomb then?
In a way,
Or
yeah.
Kodak's, my bad.
Yeah, Kodak Eastman, yeah. So, yeah, they had them manage the plant. I guess they were the best known, the best at it, best at doing it. So that's who ran it. And what they were ultimately doing was, nobody knew what was going on at the time that was working there. They came in, the United States War Department of the United States came in, they bought up this land, they decided that where Oak Ridge sits in this saddle of the mountains and the rocks, that would be a safe place to have it. One, to make it hard for anybody to see in what was going on because you're surrounded in mountains. Two, because if you were to have an accident or some sort of explosion, the mountains they hoped would protect the surrounding populace, because you got Knoxville right next, and Knoxville.
Yeah.
When they did this, they started the secret city of Oak Ridge. They started in 1942 as soon as we entered World War II. As soon as we were attacked in World War II, they said, "Hey, we've got to get this stuff together," and you had the War Department form Oak Ridge. They bought all the land from it was a community called Happy Valley that was there to begin with.
We got a Happy Valley.
Yeah, we're a Happy Valley over here, and I'd say there's a lot of Happy Valleys. I think in the Disney's Jack and the Beanstalk, they also called the town Happy Valley.
Was it Happy Valley?
Yeah,
that was a Jack Tales.
Yep. I don't know if it is in all the other ones, but in Disney's version with Mickey Mouse, Mickey and the Beanstalk, he lived in Happy Valley. But so they bought this land and they kicked everybody off. They only gave them a couple of weeks. It was I forget the date, but it was in 1942. They said, "Hey, you got till September or December or something to get out of here," and nobody really had a choice. It was a bunch of farming communities, and it was sparsely populated, but there were still a certain amount of people there. If you don't know, Oak Ridge is between Nashville and Knoxville. It's actually closer to Knoxville. And when they started building this town, suddenly Knoxville which was a town of 100,000 people, but Oak Ridge, it was a government construction town. There was no town there before, and they said we've got to have people to build this thing, so we're going to build them houses. And you had all kinds of people flocking from all over the country coming to work for the war effort, and they were joining different companies to work at Oak Ridge, and they were doing the construction, and they basically made a whole city kind of like Henry Ford's compound out in the jungle of South America, which we've got to talk about one day.
Okay.
But they built the city specifically for the workers to be there, and they constructed just for that. And a lot of these people started flooding into Knoxville, so they kind of made their presence known because that was the closest place for people to really go shop and things like that. And so there was a definite boost because immediately you had 40,000 people that moved into this area. So when you got 100,000 people in one town and suddenly there's an extra 30-40% worth of people, it's noticed. And not only that, these people had fat government checks and vouchers and stuff that they came in to spend. So there was some resentment from the population of Knoxville because they didn't know what was going on. Nobody really knew. They just saw these people with all this money coming in, and most of the people who were in Oak Ridge actually didn't know what was going on. What happened? You had the Manhattan Project that was run. It was called that because the office that it was run out of was Manhattan, but it was all the different national laboratories working together under the direction of Robert Oppenheimer. He was out in Los Alamos, where they famously tested the nuclear bomb, the Fat Man. He basically gave the directions. Hey, this is what we need, and they gave it to a general. What was that guy's name? Damn, I can't think of it now. But General Leslie,
Leslie, no, I'm playing.
Grove, I think it's General Leslie Grove. Let me look it up and make sure. Yeah, just General Leslie Groves. He was the head engineer over it, and basically Oppenheimer was like, "Hey, Groves, this is what we need," and what they needed was uranium-235. So what they did was they had to find a way to derive uranium-238 from plutonium, and then they had to basically purify that into uranium-238, which was what they would use for the bomb. And this was the whole purpose of Oak Ridge, and it eventually grew to a city of about 75,000 people. They had huge.
Dang.
I mean, they built the largest building in the world.
What's
eventually.
population now?
I'm not sure. Let's look that up real quick.
Which, I mean,
hey,
I know-
Sean, we got a comment from Sean saying, "Yay, you're back. I really wanted to hear about this. Thanks for joining us, Sean. I'm glad you jumped back on the screen."
Glad to be back. Hope we don't buffer too
Hope
much.
everybody else found us too. Let's look that up. Let's see. Population of Oak Ridge.
Because I know, because all of Carter County is close to.
Yeah, it's 29,000
Wow.
now.
Yeah, it's dipped.
Yeah, so it's close to 80,000 at a time. And you had, oh gosh, now what was the ladies of Oak Ridge? What were they called? The Cerulean?
I don't know. You've got the intrigue now.
Now I can't think of the name. Dude, I know all this stuff, and then it pops out of my head when it comes time to talk about it.
Well, it's all that heroin you snort right through.
Yeah.
If you and golf weren't such big drug addicts, I'm totally playing folks there.
Cerulean, there we go.
They're fairly straight edge.
The Caltron Girls of Oak Ridge.
I'm
Yeah.
not familiar with this.
Okay, so what happened? Basically, nobody knew what was going on. You know, the whole loose lips sink ships thing was the thing in World War II. So there was a lot of compartmentalization so that you could do your job without knowing exactly what was going on. Your job was to read this monitor. You know, whenever this reading gets to a certain level, you turn this knob this way, and that's as much as you knew. You knew how to do your job, but you didn't really know what it meant, and that was all the people who were working on it didn't even know until they dropped the bomb. That's when they let them know, hey guys, this is what you were actually working on.
So
Congratulations.
it's like John Sartor's Chinese room then.
Well, I'm not familiar with that. Tell me about it.
Super briefly, it was a philosophy of mind paper that you have to read in philosophy of mind if you take that in your philosophy of mind or a major. Is the idea of artificial intelligence. Alan Turing came up with one, which is the Turing test, which was not a good test. It's very weak if you actually put it to the test. John Sartor comes along, a couple of other philosophers down the road, and says if you could create he says that there's never going to be a actual sentience to AI. That's his claim. It's never going to happen. That all that we're doing is creating just a never-ending reaction cycle, just creating more and more scenarios. No matter how complex you make it, you still started this, and it's not real. It's kind of like the Blade Runner clones, right? But this is the situation where he proposed. If you could propose a situation without getting too big into what his was, which was like essentially a language translator, if you can make a system that is essentially stupid, that's what artificial intelligence is. You have people working in a factory that are all making something that's literally going to blow a country up, and they had no idea what they were doing.
Oh yeah, and it's kind of like that. I've heard that that's really how it might be when artificial intelligence, if we let that happen to our society. Which one of the reasons that why I started this show is because I don't think we should do that, and I think the smart cities are a big part of that, and that's one of the things that we did. That's what we did the first episode on, was the smart cities. So the idea is like I've heard Tim Pool mention it before, talking about how an AI system he thinks would probably be like you're walking down the street, you get a notification on your phone, and it says, "Hey, jump 3 times." So you jump 3 times, and then it gives you a credit, like towards your monthly money or whatever it is. And like you're like, okay, cool, I got a credit, and then you go and then you whatever. But you were jumping on, there was a blocked pipe maybe, and you jumped on the pipe, and they have everybody that walks by jump on the pipe to try to knock this blockage out or whatever.
Like if a subway door gets blocked, in a busy subway system, and normally they know for a fact. We'll use China for example, just because they have done sociological studies on this. I know it's a sad talk about, but the bigger populated areas, when they get, and this is any city, when they get to a certain point, like the value of life goes away. Mm-hmm. And so like, you'll see something terrible happen and people have that, in China they call it "没办法," it's not my problem, right? Yeah. And so what if though the AI system knows the keys to people, knows how to pull people's strings and says, hey, if everybody will pull on these doors, it'll put money in your thing. And you see that alert and you're like, oh, all I gotta do is this.
Yeah.
And imagine how you could program people. Because, right now people are putting up their damn Cash App on the side of their car and stuff, and, like, hopping outside their Hyundai, like trying to twerk for a camera to see if people threw super berries or whatever the fuck they're taking these days at them. You going to tell me that if somebody said, hey, there's a woman upstairs below this thing, there's $500 if we go up there and drag her down to ensure that the ambulance doesn't have to get her, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, if, like, the AI, I guess it would be really similar. There's an anime called I can't remember the name of it. It's The King of Japan or something like that. But it's an AI system that a guy creates, and it's essentially like a Siri program where he gives it to like 10 people, and the thing says, like, I think it's like, here's unlimited money. You've got 10 years to save the world or something like that effect, or you die and become, essentially save the world or you die or something like that. But you've got unlimited money, and then every time you give it a command, it says noblesse oblige, your wish is my command or something like that. That's a weird one to get off on. Sorry, the weed.
Let's rein it in. Let's get back on Oak Ridge. We got Sean saying Ben is lurking, and Ben says, I'm listening and learning, lifelong Tennessee resident, yet so much I don't know. There's a lot of information on this on the internet if you are interested in the secret city of Oak Ridge. I mean, you can spend a lot of time. I've did several hours of research this week, and I was already quite familiar with it, and there's still just so many different rabbit holes you can go into. Like I went for watching this show, I was doing or preparing for this show, I was working on kind of just expanding my knowledge on it, and I got into the chemical processes and stuff, and I did this whole big article that where it was a kind of a scholarly paper, and it took me like 3 or 4 hours to read the whole damn thing, and I just kept reading it, and I was like, wait a minute, I was like, I can't put this on the show, like how can I even use this? So there's so much out there that you can, I'm not going to go into all the chemical processes and how the plant was set up and why they did these modifications to the plant. We'll get into some of that a little bit, but there's just such a rabbit hole on so many of these topics, and this one you could go on forever, Ben. So yeah, if you're interested, check it out. There's a lot more that we're not going to have time for, and a lot more that I don't know. But
I would like to correct before you go on. It is Eden of the East.
Eden of the East.
It's the anime.
Okay.
With the
King
AI.
of Japan.
But my whole point of that whole thing was they motivated people who were literally just doing nothing to do these really crazy things because suddenly they had a reason to. And I think you could literally throw people pennies and get them to do really minute things. Like, can you imagine if they gave people a penny for not littering or something?
Oh, I wish they would.
All these dang guys that are going up and under like collecting pop cans and stuff.
Yeah. Well, just think about this. Instead of paying, the expenses that the sheriff's department uses to go out and pick up trash and stuff when they take the inmates out. What if they did not pay? What if they did pay you to not throw trash out? Would it be a net benefit? That's an interesting idea. I'm not a big fan of government programs where we pay people to do things, but it's like, would it be less expensive than having the inmates pick it up? I don't know.
It does incentivize arresting people, though, when you're using them to essentially keep your county clean.
It kind of gives you a reason to. It's like
a conflict of interest.
Like Vice President Kamala Harris was accused of keeping people in prison past their sentences so she could have the free labor for the state of California. And
she was doing it to quote Kamala Harris, your own kind, essentially people of color. Like and that's like kind of a good way to look at it. If you're willing to hurt your own people for your bankroll, that's pretty psychotic,
Well, back to Oak Ridge. We were talking about how AI might run.
Screams the U.S. government.
Yeah, for
it
sure.
really does. Well, I would say most governments would do that to their own people.
Yeah, I think so too. If we look at something like China with the Uyghur and
But I
Muslims
think she was
and stuff.
saying like, you were a black woman that ascended to a place of power and then immediately made it there by preaching, hey, you're taking advantage of our community, it's vulnerable, and then immediately started preying on the vulnerable people, like taking black guys for drug accounts and then keeping them past their sentence just so they could get like labor cleanup out of them and crap. That's what she was accused of, whether that was not.
Firefighting was one of the big things.
Is that the word for it?
Well, no, actually, there's wildfires.
To make them fight fires? Oh my god. That's way crazier than just picking up trash on the side of the road.
For sure.
Wow.
Because they said that was one of the things whenever they legalized marijuana over there, they're like, we're not going to have anyone to fight fires. Because they have to release all the drug charges.
Yep. Back to okay, we talked about how AI might run society. Well, this is kind of similar to the way that Oak Ridge was.
It already does.
Was well, it might. I'd say to effect it does. We talked about the dead internet theory. There is a lot of that, but yeah,
Not be up to Minority Report standards yet.
Not quite. But who knows? Otherwise, we may not know that it is, but
that's not really an AI. That's like, is it an AI? I don't remember. I remember it had 3. What were they called? Empaths,
prophets or something. I can't remember what they're called either.
That was just like a crime fighting system. Was the rest of the society around?
Well, the whole
AI?
society was AI ran.
Wouldn't that be more like Logan's Run, an AI society?
Well, yeah.
Of course, that brings in euthanasia.
Yeah.
What a way to go.
Oh, they actually have the, hey dude, they actually have the suicide booths, and I think, where is it, Sweden?
Futurama.
No, they have them now, dude. Where you get in this tank and it just pumps in a gas that I should have said, yeah, I forget where it is. Sweden, Norway.
A booth. How many?
It's like I don't know, but it's like
Like one per country.
It looks like one of
You're
those.
saying it like there's like there's Starbucks.
Just line
Man, I
up.
heard they're putting a booth in our neighborhood. Oh God.
Yep, but that's another one of those
And it
things
gas
where Matt Groening predicted it. Yep. I think it
sure it's a
basically
little bit more humane
I think it's
than
like carbon monoxide poison. Yeah. I think it's like carbon monoxide poison, but
Well, like, is
you
there
can
like
look
a
at
guy
it.
who comes by and cleans up the bodies every day, or
They're
something?
like,
Like a tank
Can
that
you
they
imagine that
through?
being your job? You know,
Yeah, I
like
gotta go
janitor?
clean out the
Yeah.
suicide booth.
Yeah, shit.
Or being the person be like, hey, we need some carbon monoxide. Go get like the guy in their big E truck to pump up and
Just back it up and hook up freaking hose
up
to
an
their
inlet.
tailpipe.
See, like, isn't that like? Here's my deal. I guess I don't want to speak too out of turn on this, but I don't want to like tell somebody they can't like check out early. You know what I'm saying? Like
No,
it reminds me of that Jimi Hendrix song with the girls in the wheelchair, and she's kind of like fuck this and just rolls off into the ocean. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like there is a level. I applaud everybody that fights uphill battles, and I applaud anybody that does something great, like I don't know, the dudes with no legs that climb Everest and crazy stuff like that, you know. But it's kind of a weird game to keep playing if you just don't want to play the game and it never ends for like 20 years straight.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how callous are we getting towards the idea of checking out early and completely on our own? That we put a booth in the street, you know, like remember back in the, I don't remember back in the day, but you can read in history. Back in the day when they would arrest Dr. Kevorkian every time he would do an assisted suicide on somebody who had like terminal cancer and stuff because it was so taboo. And now we're at to that point where we're putting suicide booths in one country.
I guess it's like back to what you just said though. When you have the amount of lives on the planet expands so much, it's almost like a market economy. We put less value on each
In
individual
Finland,
life.
How depressed are those guys?
I mean, I don't know,
yeah,
but
there's quite a bit.
I mean, it's constant snow or so. I
got
don't know.
angry metal
They
in
say
there,
cold
too.
can do that to you, and lack of
There's like the superior
lack of sunlight.
and death
Oh,
metals and
that's
stuff.
like top shelf.
Yeah, Finnish death metal. It's like you have like melodic death metal, and you have like the Gothenburg, and then you have Finnish death metal.
Oh, who's the top
Which-
Finnish one?
Probably the most well known is Insomnium.
Insomnium. Okay.
Or did I just fuck up? Or are they Swedish?
I don't know.
Oh,
My brain's
no,
just-
we'll be judged.
You're on camera now, so you got to flub it. You can't tell. So let's get back into Oak Ridge though, before we lose our viewers on our little tangents, the things that we think are interesting.
Probably losing them because
Yeah.
it's buffering it out, so it works.
It's still buffering. Well, the Caltron Girls of Oak Ridge. I think this is
Calutron. Where's that name
exemplary.
come from?
Well, they ran a Calutron machine, and they ran the mass spectrometers. Okay, they were the Y12 Uranium Enrichment Plant at Oak Ridge. And it was run like scientists, set up the machines, they designed everything. They had contractors come in and build it, and then they had contractors come in and run the thing. And what they had was most of the men were going over to join the military in some form or fashion or support the military. So they had a lot of women at home, and that was when we actually had, Rosie the Riveter. Well, we also had, the Calutron Girls, who were kind of the Rosie the Riveters of the atom bomb.
Do you know where they sourced these ladies from? Were they local?
They were from all over the place, and
Okay.
they actually made brochures to try to get people to come into Oak Ridge.
Okay.
And they would show you like, hey, look, they didn't coerce anybody. They made it very attractive. So they gave you a nice home. There was like the house A, B, C, D. They were prefab homes that they came in. They built. They had them. Well, some of them shipped in pre-built, but they had the pieces down. They went up. I mean, they were cranking out 30, 40 houses a day. They were building them so fast.
They tore all those ones in Johnson City down finally.
All the prefabs. Yeah.
Those were weird. You had the fences around and stuff. That was weird looking. Anyway.
And Carter County has a lot of those too, like that they did down here in East Side. They did a lot of those for when the Bimberg plant came in.
There's a bunch of up here off of G Street. They're all
those two.
what do they call them? Stucco?
The stucco, yeah.
Stucco houses. There's tons of them.
Yeah, they did a bunch of those. So that was to make the people who came in to work at the plant comfortable, and that's kind of what they did here. Is they gave a lot of amenities. They made this town. They wanted it to be something where people would want to be there, and the people who did move there, they kind of did make it their own. They had dances and social events and all this stuff that the government didn't set up. The people organized it on their own and actually made it into like a real town. But anyway, the Caltron Girls, they were mostly high school graduates who were being called up, and they were just being told that they were being invited to join in the war effort. And they didn't know what they were doing. And even when they got there, they trained them on how to operate this machine, but they didn't really know what the machine was doing. They just said, like as explained earlier, if this setting reaches this level, then I turn this knob this way.
Boop this beep, twist this turn, and you're saving the world.
Yep, that's exactly right. Well, and at one point they had a lot of they weren't reaching the efficiency levels that they hoped to be. Pooper berries. I don't know what Sean's talking about, but I like the sound of pooper berries.
I think it was super berries. I just said pooper berries. I don't know what they're using these days.
Okay.
Super bits, berries, super berries, different. It's what Biden was really going after with all those e-commerce things, especially like Venmo and Cash App and those, because you can't tax a super berry. It's technically a digital currency. If somebody wants to give you $2, or like buymeacoffee.com, that's another way people can just give each other like tips.
Okay.
So, pooper berries.
Pooper berries.
So, do they have a picture of the Caltron Girls?
Yeah, I bet we do. So the Caltron Girls, they came in and here's a picture of them.
Am I going to say?
Oh yeah, most of them were young, attractive women, just high school graduates.
Tin head in the corner here.
Let me get this on here, and then we can show you the Caltron Girls. There we go. Maybe we can. There we go. There's the Caltron Girls, and they ran these machines. Like there was a concern because they only cranked out it took them like a year, and they made like 7 pounds of uranium, which is not near as much as they needed in order to have this bomb finished at the time that they needed it. Like I said, Oppenheimer was running the project, and these guys were basically put General Groves in charge of making sure that this facility got built that could give Oppenheimer the amount of uranium that he needed. And so they tried all kinds of different things. The first one was the Y12 plant, where they enriched it via electrons or electromagnets, and they actually they were using all the copper to go make bullets and what do you call them, like the howitzer shells and all these. They use these copper jackets to keep the projectile intact while they fire it. And so a lot of the copper was being used for other things, and they said we need this much copper to make all these electromagnets in order to be able to have the magnetic power to separate this uranium, or to separate just from the plutonium and make uranium.
Ways of doing that purification process.
Well, they take the plutonium and then they make it into U-238, and that's what these magnets were doing. And if you want to look it up, I don't know the exact process. I mean, I've read about it.
It's 38.
YouTube does have a lot of it. Actually, I think we have a video. No, this is Let's watch this real quick before we get started, before we talk any more about it, and I'll show you a little bit of a rare look at the secret site of the nuclear bomb. This is from the Smithsonian. We do not own the rights for this. We are using it under fair use in order to educate ourselves, and hopefully our viewers will gain something from it as well. Let's turn up the desktop audio here so we can see this. And let's check out this video from, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. I don't want one household, 6 accounts, great price, YouTube. Just give me this video.
West of Knoxville is a town that was born in secrecy.
Beep in the heart.
Oak Ridge, Tennessee is 10 miles long and 2 miles wide. The whole thing surrounded by a high chain-linked fence, topped with barbed wire, and patrolled by guards on horseback. This area used to be filled with small farming towns until 1942. America was at war, and suddenly the farmers here began getting visits from federal officials.
Big old brick mason buildings, aren't they?
They only wanted one thing: all of the land. Reluctantly, And with little choice, 1,000 families left their small farming communities, and soon thousands of engineers, scientists, and construction workers swarmed into the new land.
What is commentary?
Construction
So they don't
began,
get copyright
and
stuff.
3 huge
Right.
windowless buildings were erected within months. Oak Ridge had a secret.
Bum, bum.
Oak Ridge
Of the
secret.
75,000 people who lived and worked here,
So
only
the whole town was
1%
part of the
knew
factory,
what
basically.
was really
Yeah,
going
that's
on.
what it was the factory and then everything that was needed to
Workers were
support the
told,
factory
Okay.
Loose lips sink ships.
and to make people comfortable.
Meanwhile,
Big chody
some of the
building
most
there.
brilliant scientific minds in the United States were working to produce the most powerful bomb the world had ever known.
chody boob.
Oak Ridge was part of the Manhattan Project, the American government's highly secret initiative to develop an atomic bomb.
I would think that they
And on
surely that
August
shitty
6,
building might involve with a
1945,
bomb.
Yep.
when America
God.
dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, it ultimately brought World War II to an end.
Yeah, they threw these buildings up so fast.
Even today, aircraft must keep their distance from the site, and the buildings are still used by the United States Department of Energy for federal projects.
And they actually built the largest building in the world at the time. It's not the tallest building. It was, I think it was a 2-story
Yeah.
building. Because
Like, I mean, it's like square feet or whatever.
yeah, well, what they had to do was they had that Y12 site, which was the magnetic purification site, but they weren't making enough fast enough. So one of the things that they did when they were concerned, like, hey, we're not making enough of this fast, they said, well, this is these girls' fault. These damn high school girls don't know what the hell they're doing. We need some scientists in here to actually run this thing and make it more efficient. And so they did a thing where they had a competition between scientists actually running the machines and the Caltron Girls running the machines, and I think they did it for like a week, and the Caltron Girls kicked the shit out of the actual scientists. So as they were well trained at their jobs, they knew how to do it. It didn't matter that they didn't know what this meant. The scientists, yeah, they knew what it meant, but
Scientists were having to relearn the whole process, like the whole. Even though they understand what they're doing, you still have to get that muscle memory.
And really their time would be better spent on scientific practices,
yeah.
because this thing was designed for non-scientists to run it so that not everybody involved in the process would know the secrets. And that was one of the reasons that it was compartmentalized, is because they didn't want people to know what was going on. They didn't want you were not allowed to talk about your job, even no matter what it was. If it was so simple as pushing a button or turning a dial, because every little bit of information that you could put out there, even unintentionally, could give away what you're actually working on to somebody who knows. So if there was a spy who understood some of the research that was going on in Germany, because that was ultimately the reason that they started working on this bomb, is because they had information that the Germans were going to have one, so they wanted to have it first. So as soon as we started getting into the war here, they went to working on the nuclear bomb. Sean says, I used to think euthanasia meant kids in China. Yeah, I remember reading a comic strip about that, and I think it was like Family Circus or something. And like, what a weird comic to be talking about euthanasia. But they said something.
Man, if I was an Asian guy, I had a bunch of Asian friends, like speed metal players.
Youth in Asia?
I'd spell it out, youth in Asia.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like a Megadeth sort of thing.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, well, too bad you're not Asian, Tim.
Yeah, I don't think I'd make a good Asian.
Oh, you might. Let's see. But yeah, the Caltron Girls. Yeah, I think they do have pretty high standards for us, for their children. The Caltron Girls, though, they ran the thing much more efficiently than the scientists did. So they went back to the Caltron Girls operating the plant just like they normally had, and.
Look at those switches. Pull her back up.
That's what I'm working on. That's what they decided to do, was to have.
You just like going inside like a giant industrial and like just randomly pulling all the switches on like the breakers.
Yep, but she knows what she's doing, and she is better at it than the scientists. So let's let those girls do it, and they did. They built that bomb on time, but what they had to do, they realized that it's not the fault of the women running these machines. It's actually it's just a terribly inefficient process, so we need another way to do it. So that was when they built the world's biggest building at the time, was the building that they used for a gaseous diffusion process to actually, and if you're interested in that, look it up.
Gaseous diffusion.
Yeah, and it was a different process of separating the uranium and purifying it into U-238. So that way they could get enough, and they got enough just in time to blow the shit out of Hiroshima. But of course, Germany was really the reason that they said that they were developing this bomb, because they thought the Germans were going to have it. Well, Germany had already, surrendered at that point, and the Japanese were keeping going. And the idea was that, well, if we don't, do this now and end the war, it's going to be such a protracted war, and there's going to be such a loss of life. There's actually far less people going to die this way if we drop these bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And I've always, really questioned the wisdom of that. Yeah, because I always thought, well, if you had this amazing weapon, why would you? I mean, my thinking, if I were in the position of leadership who's decided what these targets are, I would think, let's drop one of these on a military base, and then say, hey, motherfucker, the next one's coming for Tokyo. You better surrender now.
You know why they chose the cities, right?
Tell me.
Their paper.
Oh,
they knew
okay.
they would burn.
Yeah.
I
didn't know that was why, but I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
I know this sounds dumb. I'm pretty sure we talked about
Wasn't
it.
a lot of Japan paper and wood, though?
The whole cities were made out of those old school style paper and wood style buildings, especially the homes. And I know we talked about this on another episode, but the original plan before they had the atomic bomb was they were going to drop these big containers of bats.
Yeah.
Just in the
Disease.
cities. And the bats had incendiary devices on their legs.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And when they would go up into the houses to roost, those timed devices would go off. And
That's
you'd
right.
have,
No,
like,
it was the
miniature-
Japanese that dropped the bat with disease.
And like have miniature little blasts of napalm were going to come off the bats and set their city on fire.
It was fleas. The Japanese had these glass bombs with fleas in them with the bubonic plague. They actually dropped them in China. They killed like 500,000 people with them.
Oh crap! I
Japan
heard about that. Yeah.
Hit China with flea warfare.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yep. Sure did.
That's wild. I didn't know that.
Yeah. The
Here, I'm
Japan.
talking
The
napalm
Japan.
bats. Y'all got virus fleas. That's crazy.
Bioweapons. You just we have incendiary device. We have bioweapons.
People talk about Hitler, and he gets all the blame for being the big bad guy of World War II, and obviously
Sorry, go ahead.
he was. But I just think we look like I think we forget how bad Japan was, or maybe a lot of us didn't know, because Hitler takes so much air out of that conversation and pulls it over, because he's like such a historical icon.
Yeah.
But the Empire of Japan did some pretty messed up.
Yeah, they sure did. So I mean, it's a totally different place.
Before we go on, I'm sorry. Sean Harrington said Tim said it in reference to Venmo, or that's what it sounded like. I think he's talking about the pooper berries.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what the platform is. There was a thing called a super berry, and there was another one called I don't remember. There's different digital currencies, and if I said pooper berry, that means Cliff is going to make his own currency called pooper berries at some point. We're going to have them here on the Iron Mountain Hour.
I thought we were doing Femcoin.
Timcoin?
Femcoin.
Femcoin. What's a
Like
Femcoin?
FE, remember? FE, iron, M for mountain, Femcoin, FEM.
Oh, it sounded like an LGBT thing.
Yeah,
like Femcoin.
Yeah, that was your idea.
Like a rainbow coin.
Is if we call it that, then maybe we could get LGBT investment in it, or at least...
Or everybody call it FM coin. Think
or
it's like
at
radio.
least, or maybe the TERFs would join us with some investment in the Femcoin.
I would rather people find us organically. I don't want to build any groups.
Yeah, I think if you're into the shit we're talking about, then
I want
just
to appeal
join
to you.
us.
If you're interested,
And
in
if
what we're
you're
talking about.
not, then just go somewhere else. Don't bother us and try to mess up our channel. We're having a good time here. And that's one of the reasons, like, YouTube is giving us a message like, hey, you're almost eligible for monetization. Well, we're not really into that. We're not looking to monetize this. I mean, I guess eventually, if enough people were interested in it that we could support ourselves doing it, yeah, I'd be interested in monetizing at that point. But, I mean, this is just something we're doing for fun. If it grew into that, well, hell, that would be fun. That would be even more fun. But,
But until then, you can keep your pooper berries.
yeah, there you go.
It's like, I mean, still at the rate that they probably pay to what we're still getting in watches, it's like that would just be like pennies.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
pennies. Like we ever said, if we ever need money, we'll provide you with something of quality that you could buy.
Yeah, I
if you wanted to
do want to
provide
like put some stickers and T-shirts if there be a market for it. You know.
that. Yeah,
If people
okay.
be
If
interested.
y'all are interested in stickers or T-shirts or anything like that, we can provide those real easy.
Yeah, we got
But
sticker and
if,
T-shirt
If we
guys.
do merch and stuff like that, which I mean, the only reason we want to do that is maybe to upgrade the thing right here. Like, for example, the way it's buffering. I don't know if we could help that or not. Just make it a little bit easier on the equipment. But we're never going to like ask for. I mean,
Pull a DSP.
yeah, exactly. Don't be a DSP. That's Dark Side Phil. He's a gamer that's just pretty much famous because that's what he does. He just grunts all day. Like he just finds reasons for people to give him money.
I didn't know how to pay taxes.
Yeah, and a grant is different than a grift. A grant is when you like set up like he had this. His are stupid too. Like the jacket thing he'd put on. Like you got to give me $100 in donations by the end of the day, which I think it's called a super chat or whatever for him. It's like you got to give me $100 by the end of the day, or I won't put the blue vest on. It's like, why does anybody give a shit if this idiot puts a blue vest on? But
That's where that's worse than gamer girl bathwater. I mean, you guys seen that?
no, tell me.
And then the one that has that farts in jars and stuff.
Yeah, there's a girl that she's a young looking chick that she'll like take baths and then sell little jars of her bath water. And what's that?
I think it was Amaranth is the one that does or did.
Yeah, I mean, I actually get that more than I get okay.
That's what I'm saying.
So something about you should know about the DSP one is the only people that really keep him online is kind of like, Wings of Redemption is. Okay, they're a part of what would be the trolled community. And I don't know how, they either know it or they haven't figured it out. The only reason they have money is because they have like a couple thousand people who love hating them so bad, they give them money so they'll keep doing it. So they can clip their videos and put ba-womp, ba-womp music behind Wings of Redemption when he gets up. That's about to come unplugged. Uh-oh.
That's the power
We would've
conditioner.
went-
We need that plugged in.
It's like we would have went dark pretty fast.
Yeah, that's what runs all the power through everything in the
But
equipment room.
how is your bathwater girl any different than what's her name, the paste popper or pepper on Marvel? Gwyneth Paltrow. She's running around making vagina
Candles. I don't think she is any different. This
Because one has a
candle smells like my vagina.
Grammy or something, and the other one is on Twitch or whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, that chick is at least offering something of value to whoever. I mean, might not be of value
Whatever
to
the market
you,
is, the
but
market.
it's of value to whoever she's giving it to, to whoever's buying it. So that's the kind of thing we want to at least. We want you to have our bath water if you're going to give us money.
It's summertime. I'm real sweaty.
Oh God!
You need to make some really weird OnlyFans where you just start.
Oh man!
It's summertime and I'm real sweaty. And then like with the let us spray face turns around real quick at you.
Hey, there'd probably be a market for it, guys. They probably would.
Watch me crush that lettuce.
Oh man, I totally forgot where we got off of where our stream dropped that we were going to talk about these. So we'll save these for the end of the episode. But this is a neat one
Which
considering.
Well, I thought
No,
had
you
the
can't look yet. You
Philadelphia.
can't look. Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw that one. I'm not going to say that loud. I would say that the Smithsonian, how we are talking about, use that video there to talk about the Smithsonian making this Oak Ridge video. The Smithsonian is the reason a lot of this new development in the Tri-Cities is taking place, specifically Bristol, such as the museum.
Oh yeah.
The Country Music Museum, if you look, there's a Smithsonian seal on it. And if you go across the street and walk up State Street, you'll see a couple of buildings. I know for a fact one of them is the one that has the new comedy. It's like Blue Ridge Comedy Center or something like that. It's a comedy club. That if you look in that building there's a little Smithsonian sort of thing there. So they're putting, I guess it's subsidizing money to try to pump the area up for business, which was a part of Trump's opportunity zones.
Well,
So
as Pumpkin Spice said, gird your loins, boys, especially if you live in Bristol. 'Cause shit's about to get a whole lot different over the next few years.
it's picking up already. A lot of people are. I'm over there quite a bit. I like the energy, but who knows what's going to change?
No, it's cool. It's definitely going to change, though. I just hope they get the dump smelling better. How's that been? You been over there lately?
Well, I've been mostly in the downtown area, and they got so much food and stuff cooking.
I've
can't
been to
smell it.
Bristol. I've been to Bristol at work a few times last month. I didn't smell anything, but
Yeah, so I don't. Like I said, I'm not a resident of Bristol, so I can't really. I can't comment more than when I smell it when over there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it might
Could be
be,
whole
might
like
be awful in
days
some
when it's
places.
just when it's just obscene. Who knows?
Yeah. But the
I can't believe we ended up talking about DSP. What the hell?
from the Calutron Girls to Dark Side Phil. Well, the Calutron Girls, they ultimately, with the help of, like I said, they had to build a whole new plant, the biggest building in the world. I mean, you're talking, I forget the size of it, but it's like 96 tanks on, like several different tracks of 96 tanks in a row. And these are all these huge concrete shells that have uranium in encased aluminum. And Alcoa, they're out of Bristol, aren't they? Alcoa?
Alcoa
Wasn't this one right
Elizabeth.
up
Elizabeth,
here?
the
The big one
okay,
shut
yeah.
down.
Well,
Island
Alcoa,
full of trailers.
okay, I knew it somewhere. Well, Alcoa was the largest aluminum company in America, is what
I
that
want to
stood
say
for.
there was 2 or 3 Alcoa plants around here. Though.
Okay, well, played a big part in this too, because they made the aluminum canisters to hold the uranium in order to go through the uranium-235 in order to go through the chemical diffusion process, gaseous diffusion process to become uranium-238. Now, I still don't quite sure and understand how this works, but they basically made an aluminum can that was sealed around this uranium, and they would put it into a concrete shell that had holes. It was like a concrete tank with holes drilled in it, and they would put these in there, and there was some sort of gas that would go on in there, and it would cause the thing to give off
A different gas?
it would shed the gas would cause the uranium. It would pick up ions off of the uranium, or pick up molecules off of the uranium-235, cause
was
it to shed.
like a nugget, or was it a powder? I'm just wondering how would the gas penetrate? Like, because if you say you put a piece of uranium-230 whatchamacallit into a jar or thing, and then you fill it full of gas, how does that gas permeate the whole chunk?
I don't know. That's
You
what I'm
know?
saying. I don't really know how that works exactly. So all I know is they do have it was a gaseous diffusion chemical
Okay.
reaction that it purifies, it draws off extra molecules or extra electrons from the uranium 235, and basically purifies it into the 238 by taking away these excess electrons. That's
Okay.
my understanding of it anyway. It's been a long time since I've had chemistry, although I have read a lot of popular chemistry and just mainstream stuff and kept up with some stuff, but I don't know the details of all that.
I'm not great at chemistry.
So if you want to look that up, you can. I read an article or like a white paper
tend to
that
be
was
that.
like 3 or 4. Like I said, it took me like 3 or 4 hours to read it, and it had a lot of stuff about exactly how that works. But understanding it completely would
Actually,
take a
yeah.
background that I did not have. So I still read it, but a lot of it didn't make total sense to me. But if you're the kind of person that understands that and it would make sense to you, then you can read it.
Like, you're dealing with like
doesn't-
elemental chemistry. That's like when you're like dealing with like big. That's like a different level. That's like beyond making meth chemistry. There.
Yeah.
What was that a reference? Oh, I think of Walter White's big giant.
That's who I
chamber,
imagine.
like,
Yeah.
Season 5.
Yeah. When you were talking, of course, I saw Walter White. There's some more of the Caltron girls at work here.
You gonna show them?
Yeah, they're on there.
I'm talking about to the peeps.
Yeah, they see
Okay,
them.
so they can see them.
Yep. Serious about it.
Well, okay, what could those machines do? Like that.
Clinton Engineering Works is who they were working for.
Okay, we're gonna look at these machines, and what could they possibly be doing? Are they operating
They're
very complicated,
Yes, they're
so is like she operating one turbine that's purifying?
Well, who the
shit
hell
or
knows? But
something,
she's got a mass spectrometer that's reading this stuff, and it's telling her this reading is so high you turn this knob. And so she's maybe cranking the magnets back, or she's increasing the current. Who knows exactly what she's doing. But she doesn't know what she's doing. All she knows
It's
is
the idea if you can give somebody, even if the task is complicated, if you give them one specific one and they only do that one thing, you can get somebody who has basically no education to do it.
And it's like George Carlin said, all they don't want an educated, informed public. They want you just smart enough to read the instruction manuals and push the buttons on the machine, and just dumb enough to not know how bad you're getting screwed over. So that.
Well, that fella sounds like a negative Nancy.
Well,
Carlin. I liked Carlin up to a point. There towards the end of his career, he started getting on my nerves, but
I loved him even at the end, even though he was.
it was more like angry rants that were clever than it was humor.
Yeah, But I still loved him because he had so much insight and to so many different things. And well, I mean, I don't know that he had so much more insight, but it was just a way of explaining it in a way that I don't know. It just would resonate with everybody. And
Did you see his pulled bit? You ever see that where he was about to release this? He was about to release a special that was talking about how much he loved mass tragedies.
Yeah.
And then 9/11
Oh,
happened. And he decided not to release it.
No, yeah, I've seen that.
The
Yeah.
whole bit is like, I love it when a whole bunch of people,
Yeah.
die.
Yeah, that
mass death is great. And then
Yeah.
9/11 was like, well, let's maybe not put that one out there. So, as big of an edgelord as Carlin was, even he did know when to pull the punch back a little.
Yeah. Well, and they did put that out eventually. And hey, did you hear Norm Macdonald has?
I haven't heard his special yet, but I have heard
He recorded
one.
a special to be released in the event of his death, and I don't know if he recorded it at his home and sent it, but allegedly the audience, or supposedly the audience, was his comedian friends, all this SNL guys, your Chris Rock, David Spade, oh shit. I'm drawing a blank.
So a
on the
couple of
rest
those people
of them.
had to have a clue that he was dying.
Yeah. I think a lot of those guys that he was close with probably did.
okay.
Hey, did you ever watch any of his podcast?
I love his podcast. His
Did you-
podcast got some of the best internet content, period.
Did you see the one where he lost the sponsorship of the Man Great?
Yeah, because he would insulted everything. He was
Oh, it
like,
was so
great,
funny.
here's the man great. And then he lost the one to,
man.
was it Dollar Shave Club? He's like, oh boy, nobody wants, what's better than having razor sharp razors straight to your door? Nothing macabre about that.
But the funny thing is, if the Man Great people hadn't
they just
got
left it going,
pissed, man,
They just left it going. That's the best kind of humor, man. Our best kind of advertisement now. I think like Internet Historian is one of the best ones to prove it, because he turns the ad into like something people actually want to watch. And now everybody knows what that ad is, because nobody cares about your dumb product.
yeah, I've never heard of the
Nobody
Man
cares about your
Great
dumb product, no matter how
except
great
for.
it is, and it's hard to make people care about it.
Let's watch this real quick.
But
Sorry.
everybody in comedy knows what a fucking man grade is, because Norm burned it into their skull with how funny his ad reads were for him.
We're gonna take a little break from Oak Ridge and just watch this for something. Just to.
Hey, your mouth
We will
is
have
my
to talk a little bit during this. They will pull it.
Oh, really?
Well, like, you're fine as long as we talk a little bit, but
Wait,
that
what
is
about the
that is
man
something that we'll
grades?
pull for as content.
What is the man grate, you ask?
Oh, yeah?
Huh?
Fine.
You didn't
Let's
ask.
see what the Man Great is.
Genital cleanser?
No!
The genital
my
cleanser.
God.
If you've
It's
never seen
100%
Norm's
made in
podcast, y'all need to look it up. It's got
Cast
some of the
iron
best
grilling
moments in
grate.
it.
Iron. You don't pronounce it iron.
Cast iron.
The word
Iron.
Iron.
The Iron
The
Mountain
Iron
Cast
Mountain
iron.
Hour.
The Iron Mountain Hour.
Don't be like fucking Larry King.
I think say
That
I say
motherfucker-
Iron, don't
I
I?
said
The
iron,
Iron
and he's up
Mountain
my
Hour.
asshole for fucking 4 days.
It's not iron. It's iron.
You're going to read jokes.
Okay,
Read
we'll
jokes.
take a break from that. But it was pretty funny though that he's talking about this Man Great that is one of his sponsors, and he's kind of just laughing about it, which was what you would want. I mean, if you're having Norm Macdonald, promote your
You're a
product.
comedian already, yeah.
Why would you not want him to be Norm Macdonald whenever he's doing it? But anyway, Norm is releasing that stand-up special on Netflix, I think it is, and it's May 30th. So if you're into Norm Macdonald's stuff, then you probably want to be looking out for that. Sean says, yay, t-shirts, I'm in. Cool. So that's one that we have in. Yep. So we got a t-shirt, man. We'd like to shout him out. Wilbur from, I think he's revived Toxic Teas, maybe. Right now he's doing East Tennessee design. He's over there on the property in Piney Flats, Tennessee. Give him a holler, Wilbur Kilb Hunter. Give him a holler. He'll hook you up with all kinds of cool stuff, designs for, shirts, banners, posters, things like that. Whatever you need, he does a great job. Check it out.
If you've never looked at his and stuff. And the skeleton, the astronaut.
Yeah, we used to.
Astronaut skeleton's actually my favorite one, even though y'all can't see it.
Yeah, we've had the astronaut skeleton. It's called Archaic Knowledge. We've had him on the show as a background before, but when Wilbur made us the new background, we moved him to where we three can see him. And
Lovely void gaze.
yes. So if you want to see him, go back and watch some of the earlier episodes. Like I think it was episode 9 and 10 through like episode 20 or something like that, or episode 18.
Was that early?
Yeah, it was when we I think it was episode 8 where we started down here in the basement, but we were just me and you in front of a black background, and then as we kind of started, decorating a little bit. Those posters went up behind us, and now we have our Iron Mountain Hour banner.
Hey Moose, where's that guitar at, man?
Yeah, we need an update. Moose
Give
is
us a video of
I
playing that
can't
guitar.
I can't really get on Moose too bad because I'm supposed to give him a playlist for songs for his radio show for his what do you call it?
Is it Transmission Under the Wire?
Yeah, and he's had his transmissions under the wire on Radio Bristol. It's WBCM here in Bristol, Tennessee, the birthplace of country music. That Moose he runs a show on there, trying to find. He plays some obscure stuff that's really
Moose, I'm
good.
pretty obscure, and I got some music. I even got cactus pouring music. If you want to hear that.
Damn, sounds prickly.
Anyway, Moose is you're supposed to send him tracks. Oh, he's gonna put Pillbillies on you?
No. He's played some Pillbillies on there, but no, I'm supposed to pick tracks
Oh,
for
okay,
the show, and I have let him down. He said I got a couple weeks. That's what he said last weekend, so I need to get that to him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just so hard to pick, and I'm trying to pick. For one, I'm trying to pick things that will fit his show. You know, I know a lot of obscure music that most people probably wouldn't know, but a lot of that's metal, and that wouldn't really fit that show. I mean, you might find a metal song or two to fit in there, but
Unless we listen to like the old Japanese surf rock that one night,
yeah.
which was pretty cool.
Yep. But anyway, there's we do have a theme song in the works of a bit, or at least maybe not a theme song, but it's
An
one.
alternate, at least.
Yeah, I wrote one that like I sat down and I was like, holy shit, this just popped into my head. Let me write it down real quick. So I wrote the song, and it's just like 2 verses and a chorus. You know, something really quick that could be used, you know, as a theme song. But I may write another verse for it before we record it. But we're going to record that. It's going to be coming up soon. That way, we had Brandon, one of the viewers, and we really appreciate him. Excellent photographer and videographer. But we appreciate him for suggesting that. And so we'll put out some music for just particular for the Iron Mountain Hour. We've already got the Men Behind the Curtain song that we put out. That's the intro to this song, but this other one's going to be a little bit different. I think it's going to be kind of like Tom Waits meets Culture Wild meets Glenn Danzig.
I think it probably. I like the Men Behind the Curtain one quite a bit, but I think the one that you've described would probably be more fitting for the vibe of the show.
Yeah.
Because as much as I do like the theme song that you wrote, it's very serious.
Yeah.
It's like you're getting ready for an episode of the X-Files.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's not always that. It's it's never that.
No, it's never that. That's why we have Tim around to make sure that it doesn't end up.
Well, you guys are pretty goofy without me.
But
I'm
yeah,
just
I
like
mean,
MSG.
you keep the
Just
train
crank
on
it
the
up
rails.
all night.
Get that salt flavor up.
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about is we're getting about 11:20 here, so we've been going about an hour, so we'll go ahead and finish it up soon. But one of the reasons I wanted to talk about the Secret City is because we were talking about CERN last week, and we were talking about the particle accelerator starting back up, and a lot of people thinking that it had something to do with the so-called Mandela effect of things changing in what, you know, some of the examples are. All of us, I think all 3 of us remembered Berenstain Bears versus Berenstain Bears, but it turns out it's always been Berenstain Bears. Well, did we come over from, did our universes collide when the particle accelerator opened up a black hole? And now we are, instead of being in a universe where there was a movie called Shazam starring...
We're all from the Stein, all right?
We're all from the
If
Steam
we're going to play the
universe.
theory,
Yeah,
we're all
yeah.
from the SDN. But apparently, somehow along the way, there was multiple shifteroos because I'm from the Sinbad universe.
Yes.
Me too.
Apparently.
But I don't
or my
remember
memory
Sinbad.
shit, which is probably the truth.
The thing is, I know both of them. When I was a kid, I was like, why are they putting out almost the same movie in the same year twice with 2 different actors?
So yeah, that's a different one than I've heard, and that makes it actually more. I mean, the fact that you remember that kind of puts more weight to it, because I remember talking with Robbie in 3rd grade, or you know, something like that, 3rd, 4th grade, saying, "Hey man, why do you call it Berenstain Bears? It says Berenstain right there, Stein." And I clearly remember that. And not only do I remember asking that, I remember thinking about it a long time before I actually said anything about it, because we were in school and we went to the book fair, and it was
So
like
did the
3rd
switch
grade, and he
happen
was
back
saying,
then?
I don't know. It probably would have been after that, I guess. I mean, I guess the idea was that whenever CERN fired up, it
Well, that would have been in the.
It's not that there was a switch. It's just all these things happen parallel. So all these universes that in one universe I saw Berenstain and one I saw Berenstain, but I'm the Cliff who saw Berenstain. Well, those universes where it's Berenstain and the ones where it's Berenstain were running alongside each other the whole time. Well, the particle accelerator fires up and suddenly they merge.
I was just trying to figure out what I'm sure
That's the theory.
Pretty easy would be what date they fired up CERN would be when all the realities would go. Blow.
Yeah, but it'd be indistinguishable because they were running alongside each other all
Maybe
along.
that's what happened.
So you would never be able to tell when it actually mixed up.
What if here's our timeline, and what if there are no alternate timelines? What if actually what happened is we're going on here? Here's our little, here's our Darty Dark Oak thing coming out of her chest, right here. All of us, and all of a sudden here comes CERN, the finger of Shiva, and goes, let's pluck this guitar string. Doing! And that resonation is all of us going, oh, Melendela died in 87, Berenstein Bears and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And
that's
eventually, what if all of our shit's eventually going to do this again? And all of a sudden we're going to go, whoa, it's Berenstein, motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. That may be what we're in the process of doing.
Stupid. I'm sorry. That's
No, I like that. I like that.
I just wanted to say, like,
No, man,
the
that
idea
goes
of
right with it.
resonance is intriguing to me. Like,
Absolutely, that goes right with it.
Tesla.
I like
did.
that. I like that idea.
After you talked about after you talked about CERN, and we was talking about how they gave Shiva, and you did research and figured out that the Indian energy department gave them Shiva, and I said that actually makes more sense to me, that because to the Indian people, like Shiva doesn't mean what you think. Like they actually, it's like a monotheistic thing where they recognize that Shiva and Kali, even though they're not, you know what I'm saying? Even though they're opposites, like they're married together. So it's like the same. It's God with two different faces, so to speak.
It's kind of like, I don't know if I saw there was a video they were saying, oh, Masons are satanic, and they showed this video of this high level Masonic guy that they were talking to. I think it was 33rd degree, and they were asking about, are you a Satanist? He's like, no. He's like, but you love Lucifer. He's like, yeah, I love Lucifer. He's like, Jesus and Lucifer are two sides of the same coin. They're brothers. They're part of the cycle, and it's the same thing as they're talking about as Krishna being the cycle of destruction. Yeah, you have to have that for new creation and new life, and that's the way he was explaining it. And I think a lot of people just maybe don't understand that. And that's one of the reasons.
Understand that Masons aren't fundamentalist Christians. They're pretty out there with some Kabbalion and other things. So.
But I think a lot of like it comes from a misunderstanding of it in any case. So, then I think that may be the case with the Shiva, and it may be you're looking from the outside in, and we watched the Gothard Tunnel video where they did the opening ceremony, and it was quite pagan, and there were some parts at the end where they had the people with the goats' heads and things, and it could be considered satanic. Well, they did actually do a satanic / pagan / Shiva ceremony there at CERN. Couldn't find that video to show everybody, but it's out there. If you are interested enough, you can find a website to look it up. But during the show last time, I thought I had it ready and didn't have it, so we didn't watch it.
I would actually be more concerned if they had Kali.
Kali Ma.
It would be a little.
Would be working. Well, the Indiana Jones kind of.
No.
They took that into a weird direction with it, but like, it's the idea that Kali's not. Well, Kali is like
Dude, are the Thuggies a real thing? I think they are, aren't they? Aren't the Thuggy cult real?
You're gonna have to tell me what that is.
In with the cult there in the Temple of Doom.
Oh, you talking about the ones that were eating the monkey brains and all that?
No, yeah, they were doing that, but
like the one that was the underground one that had the mind control dust and all that stuff. I mean, I'm sure on some level there's some.
I'm pretty sure that they were.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm about to speak way above my cultural level. I have no idea if there's a. Look it up.
I think there really is a Thuggy.
My whole thing was like Kali worship. Like to some culture, it is considered like but not if you understand the what they mean, because it's like they're praising one side of what they recognize as one giant godhead, and whereas they gave that Shiva statue to CERN, they literally are destroying things, and that is what Shiva is destruction. Go ahead. Sorry.
Right. No. Thugs, historical organized gang of professional robbers and murderers in India. That we trace the word cult or the word thug to, and they traveled in groups across the Indian subcontinent and operated gangs of highway robbers, tricking and later strangling their victims, and they joined them and giving them their confidence.
That would be out of place, though.
So
What does it say here? Are they saying that the word thuggy comes from Sanskrit? Read back over that.
You read it. I don't see what you're talking about.
Thuggy. Actions and crimes carried out by thugs, historically organized gangs by professional robbers and murderers in India. The English word. Okay, so does the word thug originate from India?
That's what it says. Traces
Okay.
its root to
I
Hindi
didn't know that.
thug, which means
The English
swindler or
word-
deceiver.
The English word thug traces its roots to the Hindi, which means swindler, deceiver. Related words are the verb thugma. Okay, see, this is the part
To
I have a problem
deceive.
with. So thugna would be from Sanskrit, not thug. Anything, I know it seems arbitrary, but if you read something in Sanskrit, it's supposed to be understood that that's considered poetry, and that you're supposed to look for a deeper meaning, and that it's
Well,
not
no, this
historical.
is the Sanskrit thaga, which means cunning, sly, or fraudulent, which is
Sorry,
separate.
that was an itch I needed to scratch from. That's complete. I did not know that the origins of thug is Indian though.
Yeah, it's odd. Anyway, let's get back on this before we go on too long, because we could be on here all night. And
Well, yeah, we're just doing personal research for them.
so let's check out the reason that I pulled this up as far as Oak Ridge. The whole reason that I got the idea to talk about it is when I was researching CERN and I came across this as I was looking into particle accelerators in America, and this is what we found.
Ooh doo 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 doo, Oak Ridge.
Tastes so fishing clean. I was in a really nasty place at work, and it was disgusting. It was
Nasty or
hilarious.
nasty?
Really nasty. And the dude who kept this premises had that song playing in the background on repeat, like as I was walking through this disgusting place. Ain't nobody don't pass me. I'm staying so fresh and clean, so fresh and so clean, clean.
Neutron scattering is an incredibly important technique in advancing materials research because they can travel inside materials without damaging them. Once inside, the neutrons reveal the material's internal structure at the atomic scale. This ability opens up a world of new possibilities for future technologies. And it all starts right here.
The ion source contains specialized
Well, this is in Oak Ridge,
that
guys.
produces
This is
a
Oak Ridge?
negatively charged hydrogen
That's what
ion.
Oak Ridge is doing now.
Hydrogen atom with 2 electrons.
One of many things.
And in the front end, we produce a pea-sized bunch that we're going to use to accelerate down the rest of the LINAC. So the LINAC is a structure that's about 3 football fields long, and it contains 2 primary kinds of devices. Magnets that are used to keep this pea-sized beam bunched up so it doesn't blow off, and accelerating structures that give lots of electric kicks to this pea-sized bunch that accelerate it gradually to nearly 90% the speed of light by the time it hits the end of the LINAC. So when the ion bunch reaches the ring, it passes through a diamond foil that strips the electrons off of it and produces a proton. That's the first step. Now that we have protons, these protons circulate around the ring 1,000 times, continually being added to by protons that are coming from the LINAC. Once the beam leaves the accumulator ring and goes to the Mercury target,
These are all
these
magnets.
energetic protons
That's
interact
what-
with the
yeah, that's
Mercury
what
nucleus.
keeps it on
and
track.
smash it
The
to
energy
bits.
accelerates
And for
it.
each event, each one of these collisions, we get about 20 or 30 neutrons. And then we have these tubes that are aimed at the moderators. And these cold neutrons go down the tubes to these neutron scattering instruments. And that's where the real neutron science occurs.
So that's kind of really the evolution of what they originally started there with the Y12 Enrichment Plant. You know, they were on working for the war effort to develop the bomb to finish off the Japanese there, and well, originally I guess they were working to finish off the Germans with it, but they kept the whole thing secret, and that's kind of where I'm getting around to with the whole reason of even bringing this up is and there's so many ways we could go in this because there's a lot of stuff that goes on that is just secret and people don't talk about it, and a lot of it they like you get into. We could get into if the show hadn't gone so long already. We could get into like the deep underground military bases. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about. Is the DUMBs and the so-called there's the Appalachian Caverns and the Ozark Caverns, and there's supposed to be tunnels that are all over the country. And you got Elon Musk's boring company publicly boring out underneath California there, making giant tunnels. There was Jesse Ventura had a show on True TV I don't know, 10, 12 years ago called Conspiracy Theory.
Oh, I remember that.
Where he and Sean Stone, Oliver Stone's son, they go out somewhere in the Ozark Mountains in Missouri. I can't remember exactly where, but they discover a huge underground city, and they filmed themselves driving around in it, hours of footage of them driving underground. They go just find a hole in a mountain, and they drive in there, and there's enough room. There's like loading docks, there's railways, there's room. They're driving on a road that's big enough for two 18-wheelers to pass one another, and there's just miles and miles of this stuff, and they just go in there and they film it and they put it on there. You could probably find it on YouTube. You could a few years ago. I've not looked for it in a while, but it's insane. And
Why would they let that be out there though?
I don't know, but the fact is that they probably have that all over the place. If they have it right there, they probably have it all over
do
the
you
place.
think, well, like, for example, like, because I'm always on the side, in case anybody's new to what my side is, I'm always looking devil's advocate. I'm also trying to always stay non-believer and believer at the same time, so you can try to get different aspects. Why would they let Jesse Ventura, a politician slash
Wrestler slash
ex-movie
actor.
star,
Sexual
sexual
tyrannosaurus.
tyrannosaurus. I mean, like, why would they let him have a show where he exposes all the dirty secrets? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Your
doesn't it
guess is
seem
good
like-
as mine.
So
but-
I guess my theory would be like, there's a theory that
Didn't he kind of explain that at the intro to that show?
No.
There was like a preface to
No.
the show, or in the something in the intro, the pilot.
too big a pussy to stop my ass. I'm exposing them. You know, maybe that's what it is.
It may have actually. It sounds pretty close to.
I'm a gubernatorial tyrannosaurus.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, do you think maybe some of that stuff is like there was a theory online, I don't remember who came up with it. The idea was like there was never a city under the Denver Airport.
No.
There was never. So they told everybody that there was a city there and intentionally put weird shit all over it so people would talk about it, so they wouldn't pay attention to all the other ones.
Yeah.
So do you think it's possible that the body was given permission to show all that stuff because, I don't know,
It
like,
doesn't matter anymore.
I don't even know if it's
He
that,
probably
man.
wasn't
Like,
given permission. He probably just didn't stop him. I mean, he probably did what he did. I think that they really allowed the conspiracy theories to muddy the water there for a while.
for a while.
Yeah, well,
They're muddier than ever.
well, I mean, I guess that they were, now that they suppress a lot of the real ones and they allow the kind of crazy ones to still go on out there, and they don't really suppress them as much. I mean, they're not even the crazy ones, but maybe the ones that are maybe less consequential, such like Bigfoot. Like Bigfoot.
You think Bigfoot's a bigger, more consequential?
No, I think
one
he's
than
less
some?
consequential, but I think because he doesn't affect our everyday lives for the most part, unless Bigfoot is running the New World Order.
But there's an awful lot of I'm always of the
They're
mindset.
unconditional beings. So.
I'm always of the mindset. Like, do you remember when you were a kid, like how your parents would treat you, quite literally, like you're a child, and how you're taught about Santa? That's kind of like a warm up for when grandma dies or something. Like, there's all kinds of these different like social games that we play with our kids and stuff. So, if you wouldn't let your kids know that you had a gun, so they would never go looking for it, like, I'm never going to tell Timmy that I have a shotgun because he's a curious kid and he might want to shoot that one of these days.
Yeah.
That sort of mentality. Not saying that's what you're doing.
No.
That sort of mentality is kind of how I think the government looks at its people. Like, we're not going to tell you. But, like, I do think that they use, like, psychology to trick people into doing things. Like, how, like dumping these giant 14-inch giant condoms into Vietnam to make it look like, is that the marijuana, Tim? This is called CBD 8, winky winky. You get it from the gas station, so I guess technically, yeah. But, totally legal. I don't have a job. Leave me alone. I'm a bar singer. Give me a break. Shit. What was I talking about? Does it matter? I don't remember now. Like, psychologically, the government has to control us on some level.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I have to think, as long as there's like, they didn't tell these women that they're literally making the memes to end tons of Japanese people's lives. How many of those women wouldn't have taken that job if they had known that was literally going to kill people, regardless if they were patriotic or not?
Well, I mean, they knew they were joining the war effort, and many of them were
yeah.
excited about that. So, I mean,
Probably knew it was going to kill some Japanese.
Yeah, I mean, they probably knew that it was not. I mean, fairy dust, you know. They probably had a pretty good idea that it was something that they were working on as a
You're not making
weapon.
the dinner plates.
Yeah.
If they were there on those things.
That's right. You're not, but even if you're making ham sandwiches for the boys on the front lines, you're still, assisting to kill the enemy. And I think they would have been glad to do that. So,
I mean, do you not think that there would be some level though of like I just can't for the life of me figure out like why they would let a member of their own people, like that's an ex-Hollywood person, ex-politician, that's like two strikes right there. You're Hollywood and you're a politician.
probably know a lot of dirt on a lot of people.
He's Arnold Schwarzenegger's, like he's one of his elbow. He's a bodybuilder. He's an actor.
I think they probably got to him because Jesse the Body has been like the government's poster, or not, I don't know, poster boy, but he's basically been a body bitch for the COVID regime and supporting all those lockdown measures.
So why wasn't he back then when he was back there exposing these big cities and stuff?
Well, maybe they got to him.
I'm saying they did. I'm saying they got to him even back
They got to
then.
him before, yeah.
I'm just saying a lot of the
He
stuff.
was playing his role all along,
He
maybe.
was on TV. Like if we're going to sit here and say that they're going to suppress YouTube channels and stuff like that, why are they going to let this guy go on national TV and go, look at this underground city, folks? I'm kicking the Illuminati's ass. And I just don't think that makes any sense. So they just kicked you.
You're right. Well, that's
got
a good a
too
time,
real.
Denny.
We got too real.
Well, you're still recording, right?
Yep.
There you go. You can stop it right there.
Well-
The Illuminati hates the Iron Mountain Hour, and I just pissed them off by jerking on Jesse the Body Ventura, apparently.
They got us, folks. See you next week.
Okay.
Maybe we will.
Okay, so anyway, yeah, the YouTube just kicked us in case anybody's what we're talking about. So if you watch this and you're not watching the live
Right, well.
version, yeah.
Yeah, I'll upload this so you'll be seeing it, but
That was so funny. We really did get kicked as soon as I started talking.
Yep. As soon as you started getting into their program, like, why are they letting us make these? That's where it's going to lead. Like, why are they letting us get on YouTube and talk about it? They're like, fuck no.
They're like,
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
I actually
you
have
don't?
had similar things because a couple other times that we've dropped,
Yeah.
we've talked about things that are similar to that, and it's kind
Yeah.
of like,
Man, I'm just not paying
it's like
attention.
maybe we said something they didn't like.
Well, I mean, like last week we was talking about the damn.
Bavarian Illuminati.
No, I was making fun of the Mandela effect.
Oh, yeah.
That's it's just missed memories. And then you were
Yeah.
like Shaq. I was like Shaq was never in that. That was clearly Sinbad.
And then and you were like, wait.
Wait a minute.
So here I'm sitting there saying, "Hey, look, guys, let's pump the brakes. They're not throttle us for talking about conspiracy. You guys are clearly over the board. Oh shit, they just
You're like, what?
Cut us off.
so maybe
They don't want us saying that they're not doing it.
they don't want.
What's their game?
yeah? That's
I can't with these fucking
good timing,
people.
if nothing else. So
Hey, maybe it means we're on the right track. They say you only catch flack when you're over the target. So
yeah, maybe.
hey, maybe we're the good guys after all.
Well, we're the everyman from my perspective. We're
I think
just,
so.
Carter County dudes talking on a radio show to some other people across Appalachia, and whoever wants to join us.
Yep.
Have a laugh.
And I'm talking with you the same way I talk to the guys at the shop at work, when I talk to people that I interact with. This is how.
Well, that's why we get off topic so much, because
Yeah.
essentially what you did was be like, hey, let's get Cliff, Tim, and Goff in a room and let's record it, and it takes everything we've got to stay on topic.
Yeah.
So much as you say, yeah, Tim makes it fun. If there was we would not have a show if I was the one behind that keyboard, because it would be pretty much for an hour of us going, let's research this next. Have you seen the video of this? That'd be the whole show. So
So, if you're like George and you think this is boring, or Jorge or whatever it was, I can't remember what his name was, but said the video was boring, you know what? You're welcome to go somewhere else, man. We don't want a bunch of views on this channel. We want people who are interested in having this kind of conversation like we are.
and send us Cactus Rectile Entertainment.
And
Rectile.
and what was the other thing that we asked for?
Hammy to hurry up on my custom orders.
Oh yeah, the wooden dildos. That's right.
Tammy, I've got some
the
maple,
wooden butt plugs that Tim requested.
he
special.
wants the ebony. He's bougie. Cottonwood. I'm sticking with it.
I guarantee you can polish it smooth enough that there are actually. I bet you we gotta
Think
look it
so? Enough furniture polish.
up. I bet you there's something.
Look it up.
Good varnish.
Artisanal wooden dildo. If this is the time for you to check out the recorded version, this would be now.
Some results
We're already
may
not
be
live. We don't
explicit.
care now. We're already not live.
Oh, there's wooden ones, all right.
Oh my God! No, okay, I know there's wooden ones because I saw an interview.
I'm not going
Like
to
a
put.
turkey
Club.
leg.
Jeez, won't come back out.
I'm not going to put those on
What's the name
YouTube.
of
Though. that will get it.
Boy
pulled.
George. But there's an interview. You can find, okay, if you want to see Wooden
Yeah, you
dildos
can-
and
you
Cliff
can
not
Google
gonna be
it
the one
just
to
like
show
I
it to you.
can, yeah.
Go to VH1 and find the behind the music of the Culture Club. And when they cut to Boy George, he's in a rocking chair, rocking back and forth, like talking about his time in Culture Club. And if you look closely at the shot, the entire rocking chair is just made out of wooden curved peckers. Like the post this way has a head on it and hair, and like the curved on the bottom. I mean, it's just
Look.
the giant. Great. Okay. Okay. Don't say it. Don't say it online. This will be a special surprise.
Well,
You have just you've unlocked something.
An all-American Whopper. Oh, natural bold beefy. Oh, natural bold pound. Just
I don't-
Google those items if you want to know what we're talking about.
I don't want you to read.
I'm not-
any of
I'm not
this.
showing it. No,
I'm
I'm
just
not.
saying that I don't know the same. Oh, we're back online for some reason.
Hey, all right. Cool.
There's no way. It's just playing out.
It might probably just play on the restream, yeah.
Surely. Did I click on it or something? I'm gonna pop off. Anyway, I feel like we were just gifted with that, with you finding that. How did you find that?
I'm not going to say because it'll give away what it is.
Okay,
I
well,
just Googled it.
next week we really do have a sponsor then.
Yep.
And we should just...
We got to reach out to them. We got to show them some of our catalog.
You can't get in trouble for giving people free advertisement.
No.
So just keep that in mind.
No. But if you would like to, hey, that'd be something though. I mean, right now we don't get that many views, but if we get something, that would be something we could do is sponsor local companies that
You
we
could do
actually
local
use.
comments are okay
Yeah.
if you not, because...
Yeah, we don't.
Not
We'd
even
have to let them know they might end up in
perspective
kind of a man great situation. But
Well, no, not even from the perspective of like people having rules. Like, there's no way in the world we could suddenly go family friendly for a restaurant or something like that.
right,
Because I
no,
just don't have the memory capacity. to
No.
Remember, I'm not supposed to swear.
no, they'd have to be
Yeah.
cool with us doing their product and just whatever we do with it.
With what you've got. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is
So-
unlikely for other things.
Yeah, so-
Unless
unless we get
you sell, what was
The
brought
green-
up earlier, the DA. Give us some of that stuff, man. I'll use it.
Yeah, we'll try it out on the show and tell you. We'll review it even if you want to send it to us,
And then you can watch us take a big long nap for half the thing.
or slide into the floor. Hey, we want to thank you for joining us. This is probably not live anymore, but just in case it is, thank you for streaming with us.
Thank you for streaming with
And
us.
yeah, watch it after the fact if you want to see the whole thing. Then
When's the next Ether Weaver? Golf? Y'all charted out a lot of crap.
We have a few
We're really
more.
moving.
we have a few more
I say
songs
crap
written,
endearing, by the way.
and we do actually have a show July 8th. We're actually playing out
We're at.
cool,
Capone's.
nice.
There you go. If anybody's local, come teach you.
July
Is it
8th,
Ether or
Capone's in
Ether?
Johnson City. You want to
Ether
catch
Weaver.
some dark
Ether
synth
Weaver.
wave? What'd you call that? What would you call that?
We
Synth music with